Hey everyone, how's it going? Azren the language nerd here. Hope you're doing very, very well on this fine Tuesday night almost. It's 9:38 p.m. or whatever day and time it is for you right now as you're listening, or rather watching this YouTube video here. Welcome to episode number 71 of Azren's Journal. For those of you who are new to the segment on my channel, it's pretty straightforward. This is the segment on my YouTube channel where I share my personal language learning journey and of course give you a whole bunch of different language learning tips. Now, a couple of quick updates before we jump into the main topic of today. The very first one, you may have noticed that there is a brand new segment on my YouTube channel. It is not the most popular as I'm recording this one right now. There's been very, very few views on it, which is perfectly okay. I have no problem with that. It's a bit of a personal project, and I have a gut feeling inside that it can really help a lot of people. And if it doesn't really get bigger, that's totally fine. I'm enjoying the process. And I'm using this content for my personal internal, at the Calgary Language Nerds, internal teacher training, so it's okay. And basically these are videos on how to teach. And I'm really starting to dig further into I'm really starting to share some of my insights and my knowledge that I have around, an expertise, dare I say, around teaching, and specifically teaching foreign languages. So if you have not seen these how to teach videos, I would really appreciate it if you went to my YouTube channel and started watching them. They're a little bit longer. They're kind of 30, 40-minute long videos, and they're very, very different than, for example, what you're used to seeing like in these here. But I think there's a percentage of you who will find them useful. If you're not one of those people who is curious or wants to learn about how to teach foreign languages, what I would appreciate is if you go and share one of those videos with someone else, whether it be on your Facebook or whether it be with a teacher that you know, a tutor that you know, because I really think that people that are in a teaching profession can get can really take a lot from these videos, especially as I keep making them and keep uploading them. It's a new project for me. We'll see how long it lasts. Sometimes I start new projects and they're pretty short-lived. Sometimes they last a long, long, long time. We'll see how long this one lasts. The second one here is where you can find some of my best content nowadays. Nowadays, some of the best content that I'm making is on TikTok. My TikTok username is @polyglotazren. That is spelled POLYGLOTAZ That is my TikTok username. And that's where a lot of my, that's where I'm most active nowadays. And it's been going well, man. It's been going well. There's been, I've been learning the platform, but so far there's been good traction. I think there's 10, 15, 20, 30 followers a day, which is great. I'm enjoying it. And so I would highly appreciate if you go follow me on that platform. With all of that aside, let's dive into the primary topic of today, which is the intermediate plateau. So for those of you who are not aware, the intermediate plateau is a stage that many language learners hit where they achieve an intermediate level in another language, but they're not able to break through the intermediate level and get into like an upper advanced or any level of advanced. They're stuck either at a mid-intermediate, sometimes high intermediate, but they're not able to kind of break through into that advanced territory. And I would like to tonight, I would like to share some advice that hopefully will help at least a few of you. Now, the first thing about the intermediate plateau to understand is I want you to think about yourself as a beginner. When you are a beginner in another language, everything is new and everything tends to be quite challenging. So when you're learning new phrases, you are learning new grammar, you're learning pronunciation, you're learning vocabulary, you're learning all these things, and everything is new. And the chances are that you were quite challenged. You really had to think quite a bit. Your brain was really working hard in order to learn. And it was hard. Typically, sometimes it's not that way. There definitely are language learners that do not find it very hard in the early phases, especially if they already speak a language that is similar to the language they're trying to learn. But I think it's fair to say, as a general whole, the beginner stages are quite challenging for language learners, and everything is brand new, and it's really exciting. Often it can be very, very exciting. As you continue along your journey and you start to learn more and more and more, what I find is that once people hit that intermediate stage, they're not challenging themselves the same way that they were when they were beginners. Often they're not. And therein lies the problem. One of the main reasons why I find people get stuck at that intermediate phase or that intermediate stage is that they are not challenging themselves nearly as much as they were when they were beginners. So a great example, this is the practical example that I see all the time. In the beginner stages, you learn some vocab, you learn some grammar, you start to get a little bit of knowledge. And then the biggest thing you struggle with is conversation. You cannot speak. It's really hard to speak fluently and get the words out of your mouth. And so you find yourself doing you find yourself doing whatever you can to get better at that speaking. You do private classes, you attend conversation classes, you take your phone and you record yourself on your phone, and you do whatever, you're Googling stuff, you're YouTubing stuff, you're doing whatever you can. And eventually, once you're at that intermediate, maybe even upper intermediate level, all of a sudden, now you're able to speak in most scenarios. You're able to have one-on-one conversations. You're able to generally express your thoughts for the most part, right? You're generally able to understand what people say as long as they don't speak too quickly. And yet, you just do more conversation practice. You think, I'm going to do more conversation practice, and that's what's going to allow me to get to the next level, which is the advanced level, or even entering into the advanced levels. But the problem is, often the strategies that got you from a beginner to intermediate are not the strategies you are going to need to go from an intermediate to an advanced. You need a different type of approach. So the biggest thing I challenge you to think about is, A, what approach did you use to go from the beginner to intermediate? And B, what approach are you now using to go from intermediate to advanced? If you're using the identical approach and you're not seeing the same level, you're not really progressing, you need to change up that strategy. You need to switch that up. Let me give a couple of pieces of advice on what kinds of activities you can do to really push towards that advanced level. That might not work for everybody, but in my experience, generally work for most or a good percentage of people. One of these strategies that tends to work is you need to learn how to describe problems in high amounts of detail. So for example, let's do some improvisation here. Okay. Here I'm sitting on the ground here, and let's say that we have this stool, right? We have this guy right here, and let's say that the leg of the leg of the stool is partially unscrewed, and because of that, this stool here is wobbly. Okay, the leg of the screw is partially unscrewed. The stool is now wobbly, and you don't know how to re-screw it. I bet you anything that you having to explain that problem in your target language is going to be really hard. How do I know? Because I'm super advanced in French and Spanish, and even me thinking about it now, I'm like, how do I say screw something? I actually don't know in French and Spanish how to say that. How do I say it's a bit wobbly? I'm thinking right now in French and Spanish. Okay, I have some workarounds, I have some synonyms, but I actually can't think of the word for wobbly in French or Spanish, and I'm super advanced in those. So even me, as someone who's super advanced in French and Spanish, when it comes to describing problems with specific objects, you'll start to encounter vocabulary and grammar and different gaps that you don't really know how to cross. And that's going to really help you continue to push forward. The other thing I would highly encourage you to do is start participating in online or in-person activities in the target language. So a great example. Let's say you are a Spanish learner and you're quite strong, but you're like upper intermediate, and you have an interest in, let's say you have an interest in business and marketing. Enroll in a business and marketing class facilitated in Spanish. That's going to really push your Spanish. Study business and marketing in Spanish. Let's say you're very interested in BMX biking, right? Go take a class or find an online program or something about BMX biking in Spanish. That's going to push your Spanish, because now you're going to need to learn the parts of a bike in Spanish. That's going to be really hard for you. You need to engage in activities that challenge you the same amount or more than when you were challenged as a beginner, right? You need to find challenging activities, and that's going to help many of you break through that intermediate plateau. So we'll wrap this video up here. Thank you for watching. I appreciate your attention. As per usual, I'd appreciate if you hit me up on my social networks, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, notably Snapchat, Instagram, at Polyglot Azren. Keep an eye out for those how to teach workshops. Share them with any teachers that you know that you think can find some value from it. I'd appreciate that. And we'll chat later. Bye-bye. See you.